Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kyle Mars, and I'm with the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar on men and aging with paralysis. Thank you for joining us for this panel discussion on this very important topic. Before we begin, I'd like to cover a couple of housekeeping items. Closed captioning is available for the webinar. You can access captioning by clicking the CC button at the bottom of your screen. There will be time at the end of the webinar for audience questions. If you have a question for the panelists, please submit it through the Q&A box and we will get to it. With that, I turn the webinar over to our panelists. Hi, Terry. I think you're still on mute.
Hello. Hello, everybody. My name is Terry Lewis. Hope y'all are doing well today. Thanks so much for joining us all. I think we've got some great information to share with you today, and we definitely got a great panel here. People that know what they're talking about, and of course, they've been walking the walk for quite some time. I'll kind of let everybody introduce themselves, and we'll go around. I'll introduce myself first. Again, Terry Lewis. I just turned 70 years old. I'm a T6, T7 paraplegic. Been in the wheelchair 10 years. I had a motorcycle accident. I'm married to a fantastic wife. Have been for, gosh, a long time, 36 years. And I'm still working. I work about 20 hours a week part-time. I specialize in special projects in the sales field, so I stay pretty busy. Try to stay as active as I can. My pretty much motto is, don't let what you can't do keep you from doing what you can do. So I try to roll from there. So I'll move it on to Stephen McIntosh. Let him introduce himself.
Hello, that's me over here. My name is Stephen McIntosh. Thank you, Terry. I am 64 years old, so not quite there with you, Terry. But I was injured in about 8 or 9 years ago, 2012. And my injury was bicycling, trying to train for the Hotter Than Hell 100 for all you Texans out there. And so riding my bicycle, I got in an accident, and that left me as a C4, C5 incomplete quadriplegic. I am married to a fantastic young lady. Have been married for 35 years. Have 3 kids, all of which have gone out into the world to do great things. And I'm just very pleased to be able to share my stories and things that I do in order to lead a very productive and fulfilling life.
Thanks a lot, Stephen. Now we'll turn it over to Craig Crosby.
Hey, thank you, Terry. Well, hi, y'all. Excited to have an opportunity to speak to you today. My name's Craig Crosby, and, I am almost 31 years at this whole game of being in the chair. So, for a lot of the things that come with this, when asked if I wanted to be a part of it, I have tried to age as gracefully as possible with the spinal cord injury. And, as you guys will hear kind of from us, each of us kind of has a different spin on things that have occurred. And, I try to do the best I can every dang day. And I will tell you that I've never let this chair rule me. I think in retrospect, I've tried to always stay in front of it. And, the directions that I had prior to my injury, I kept them. The goals that I had, I kept them. And I think that's important as you kind of think about the here and the then, right, in the future. So I'm 51, and, I am married for, 17 years, and got 3 beautiful kids, 13-year-old and twin boys that are 10. So for folks that are all wondering about, hey, having kids or things like that, is it possible? You betcha. We can get into that kind of discussion too. So, looking forward to talking to you guys and, sharing some good insight. So thanks, Terry.
You bet. Now we've got Milton Spencer. You there, Milton?
Sorry, didn't unmute. My apologies. Milton Spencer, T5, T6. incident happened back in 2008. So I guess it's about 14, just shy of 15 years. Oh, I'm new to this. Dealing with the situation slowly but surely. I try and accomplish as much as I can. And we recently started a group called If We Can, You Can Too. Because there's a lot of things you can learn to accomplish depending on how you apply your thought on how to accomplish them. I think that's about it. All I can think of right now.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Milton. We appreciate you sharing that with us. Seemed like that what's on everybody's mind, of course, is how to best maintain yourself. And of course, that I guess one of the subjects that come up which is paramount to all of us is weight gain. It's so vitally important to try to keep yourself in as good a shape as possible, and of course keep the weight off, because we all know that weight makes everything else, too much weight makes everything that we do more difficult. So that seemed to be a topic that is very important to us. Hey, Craig, would you like to share some thoughts about weight gain?
Sure, man, definitely. So, I'll tell everybody on, and I think it's going to be an issue for both the male and female population on the phone. It's no secret that you get into a chair and you're not burning calories. You're not, in some cases like myself and, Stephen, we don't sweat, right? So you're not able to burn calories there. And for a lot of years, especially in my younger years, Terry, I was able to keep weight off pretty good. I was in a manual chair. I was pushing. I was burning calories as a quad. I'm a C5'6", but I think I discounted how many calories maybe I was burning, because I decided in 2006 that I was going to go into the power chair. It was a host of reasons that made me do it. And it seemed like as I was getting older, I just started putting on weight, and I was working out pretty regularly, doing the things that I needed to do. And, all of a sudden, 6'3", 200 pounds, ballooned up to 230, ballooned up to 250. And then, at my highest weight, I got up to 280 pounds. Now, I struggled and sat with this for a long time, and I'll share it with the folks on the phone. One of the things that I decided to do for my overall health, for my family, and the fact that, I wanted to stay around on this good old earth and keep rolling and causing heck as best as I could. I actually looked very tough at some weight loss potential surgeries, and I opted out to actually have gastric bypass done. That was a scary endeavor, but I was well counseled and well informed. It is something that, is not for everybody. I'll share that, but, for folks that have struggled with it, asking, I wonder if I could be a candidate for something like this. I'm happy to take it offline and share my experience. It's been very positive. It's 4 years in the post. And, I haven't looked back. I follow what I'm supposed to follow and maintain as healthy a lifestyle as I can. But that's kind of my story with things. But, just because there's not a bunch of people out there that you can counsel with to get this, hey, what about a quad or what about a para? Have others done it? Well, I have. So, questions, bring them on, so shoot, Terry, that's kind of my story there, man.
Great, Craig. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. What about you, Stephen? Do you have anything you want to share in regards to the weight situation?
Yeah, I really do, because weight it's a real enigma. Before my injury, very athletic. I own my own company. I'm still working there. And prior to my accident, I was a bicycle commuter for the most part. So I'd go back and forth every day. I'd add on miles or whatever, would like to ride the Hotter Than Hell 100. And so very active. And when I got injured, that all stopped. And so I was going to be predisposed to gaining more weight. So in order to get my arms around that, it really created a whole new discipline and thought process about weight. And it wasn't so much weight, it was size. Because weight is, you can weigh this and weigh that, but when your girth expands, that's where I start getting into trouble. Being a quad, where my diaphragm is affected, I can't afford to add inches to my waist. So what I look at it is shape in inches. Now, fortunately, I do have a physical therapist trainer that I work with. And so he's very much tuned in to my body and my size and helps me prevent putting on too much girth. I think one of the important things that I've learned is diet, to control consumption and to control diet calories that you're eating. And I almost say it's a religion to me. I know what my shape is, and I protect it religiously every day. And if I have to slim down, then we go to work on that. But it is an incredible challenge because not being so physical and active all the time, you really have to pay attention to it. So it really comes to me as a discipline. As they say, before you put it in the mouth, just say no. If it shouldn't be there, then don't put it there. Because once that weight or that size changes, it affects my breathing. And then obviously with the increased weight, it can affect your skin. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Stephen. I guess I'll chime in on that as far as, I try to stay as active as I can. I was lucky when I came out of Baylor, the rehab hospital. I was fortunate enough to meet people that ran a club called the Neuro Fitness Foundation. It's here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I was a gym rat already, so it was natural for me to just go right into that same environment and start working out there. It was just a different kind of gym. And rather than having to go to a regular health club where, you're certainly not like anybody else, or you're going to make them nervous, you were able to go to a place that everybody in there, they were there because they were in a wheelchair, or they were in the, everything in the gym was accessible that way. So it made it a whole lot easier for me to get involved. And and I think that's also one thing that allows you to do things in your own pace and things like that. So it's been a godsend to me. I still, on a regular basis, I went out and did my push this morning. There's a set of hills on a bike trail over here, 2.5 mile trail that I push every other day. And of course, that's me. COVID, of course, affected everybody. I mean, all the gyms were closed, so it affected everybody. But again, so I had to get into doing my routine on myself. But it definitely helps to do what you can as often as you can, because it's not only good physically, it's good mentally.
Yeah.
We'll jump on a different subject here. And I guess, obviously, a lot of us have pain issues. And so we can definitely talk about that, how we deal with the pain, how the pain affects us. Is the pain getting worse? Milton, I'll let you start out with that. Do you have any kind of pain issues at all?
The problem is I have no pain at all. My doctor is usually surprised every time he tries to issue me pain pills. And I'm like, no, thank you. I don't need any.
You're lucky man.
Hey, I'll take it as it comes. I try to deal with it as much as I possibly can and try and learn as much as I possibly can. That's about all.
Well, great. What about you, Stephen? Have pain issues in your life?
It's always been there. I'm a C5, C4 incomplete, and pain is just something that you have to adapt to. But pain is interesting because, I do exercise. I've got a great trainer, and he's helping me work out 3 days a week for a couple hours, and also to get on a recumbent trike to see if I could start exercising that way. But pain is a natural byproduct of motion and movement, as well as any stimulation. And once again, it just comes down to living with it. I do take some medications to help me with it. I take hydrocodone, but it's only half a tablet, and I take baclofen for the spasms. So that helps, in a sense, maybe take the edge off. But otherwise, I go back to it's mind over matter. I'm still trying to figure out, when you start getting pain, it starts to take over your thinking.
Mhm.
And I've discovered the more I am thinking about pain, the more it is there. But so it's a vicious circle, because you get into any sort of movement the pain triggers, and you start thinking about it, then the pain accelerates. So it's, how do you get your mind off that track? Because I find as soon as I can get engaged in something captivating, connecting with people, being busy, if you will, and my mind can get off the pain, again, that begins to take it down. So it's a bit of a circular thing. Pain hits you, you think about it, it gets worse. Get engaged into something that's interesting, connecting with others, and it's amazingly that it can relax the pain.
Thanks, Stephen. Hey, Craig, what about you? Any pain issues that you've been dealing with, or?
I'll tell you what, as a quad, it's a weird thing, right, Terry? I mean, I've got all my sensation. I'm incomplete, like Stephen. More incomplete on the sensory than I was on, the motor skill. But as a quad, we get a referred pain, right? I call it, that is seen somewhere else, and a lot of the folks on the phone, that may be quadriplegic, have experienced this when, something's too tight. All of a sudden, they may sweat. Something is open, like a pressure sore or a wound, it sets off a pain receptor. So I, like probably a lot of the folks on the phone, have dealt with those kind of pains throughout, this time that I've been in the chair. And it kind of goes back to some of what Stephen was talking about earlier. It's knowing your body, being very in tune with your body. If you can't check for a pressure wound or things like that, have somebody do it for you. It's not a time to be too proud anymore, because, if things get out of hand, we can be in a bad situation. But, I don't believe in a lot of the medication stuff. Like anybody coming out of surgery, I'll take a hydrocodone if I need to, but, that affects and impacts, everything from, appetite to bowel to, just a ton of stuff. So, I will say, knock on wood, day in and day out, baclofen does its thing for me on spasticity, but overall pain in general, I've been pretty lucky with throughout my time.
Well, that's appreciate that insight. I'll touch on pain. As far as pain, I've got neuropathic pain. It affects me in my butt. I've had it since my injury, and it has definitely increased over the years to where, pretty much on a regular basis, it'll be 6 to a 9 level. So I've just learned to deal with it. It is, I don't let it define me, and I don't let it control me. It certainly can. I know that. And sometimes it can get away from me because it is intense. And, but you just have to learn to deal with it. I don't take any drugs for it. Obviously when I came out of the hospital, I was on all sorts of scripts, but it caused me more issues, by having issues with bowel program and things like that. So I just really didn't think it was worth it. And then of course, talking to people in regards to, you know, the Neurontin, the gabapentin, and all these things out there, they've all got their own side effects. So, you know, one drug is going to impact maybe how you feel for a bit, but it's certainly not going to take anything away. So I just chose to try to stay as drug-free as I possibly can, and it's worked for me. Seems like the more active I stay, the more exercise I do and take my mind off of it, that seems to work well for me. So, but I know that's really a tough one right there, because it is such an oppressing type of a situation with the pain out there. And I know there's so many people that I've talked to that have the pain. The spasms, I have the spasms as well, but obviously mine aren't as bad as some. I know some people get shaken out of their chair with the spasms, and they're on the baclofen, but I don't have quite that problem. But we'll go ahead and transition here. Next subject is, of course, transferring difficulties. You know, in and out of the bed, in and out of the chair, in and out of the car. You know, obviously age is affecting that particular situation. Milton, what about you? Do you want to address that situation, how that's affected you, or has that caused you any extra issues?
Yeah. I'll speak on it. I transfer into the bed, into the couch, into the car. I try and get better and better at it. I used to be able to get back in from the floor to my chair very easily. My ankles have been giving me a little difficulty, so I've been working on flexing and stretching my legs and pedaling more, so there's more ease with using my ankles to support me to get back into the chair.
Great, thanks. What about you, Stephen?
Transferring, it's really going quite well. Before I left BIR, they were wonderful, where they really taught us how to do pivot transfers, standing knee blocks. So with that and my capabilities, because again, I'm an incomplete, so I do have some feeling, I do have some capabilities, and even though my limbs are non-functional, I still have some capabilities. So with that ability to get a knee block and stand up and do a pivot, it's been wonderful. I think the key to that has been training caregivers on the proper technique so that you can do those transfers. So getting into the chair or getting into the shower chair and back into bed, the transfers are fine. As far as getting into the car, well, I'm in a motorized wheelchair. So once I'm in my chair, I'm set to go. So to get into cars and then out of cars, it's pretty straightforward. But I'm very fortunate because I have enough in my legs where if someone give me a good knee block with a gait belt on and with the focus, I'm able to do those pivot transfers.
Thanks, Stephen. What about you, Craig?
Man, okay, that was a progression for Craig. You know, when I got hurt, guys, you know, and like many of the folks on the phone, you may have gotten hurt and had nothing for a while from a mobility standpoint, right? I didn't move for better part of about 6 weeks. And then all of a sudden, you know, little things start coming back, and all of a sudden you're moving a wrist and you think you're actually moving your arm, and you know, then you find out how important wrists are down the road. Well, I got to where, and I was in a manual chair at that time. I was in Dallas rehab with our good buddy TJ, who may have gotten some of you guys on this call today. He and I are thick friends and always have been. But you know, I was good as a C5-6 quad without a tricep to be able to do what I call a level transfer. So as Milton's talking, getting off the floor, hell, if I was on the floor, I was on the floor. There was people coming to get me. But for me, being able to transfer in my van in a 6-way power seat, I did that for, 15 years. Then I just got to a point, and it may have affected some of the folks on the call. Your shoulders just start getting to a point, they just, you know, kind of start giving out. Pushing a chair is difficult. The transfer is difficult. So it limits what you do. You don't go out. You don't do things. You know, so for myself, that was one of the reasons I decided to make the move into a power chair. A transition that was kind of difficult. And maybe this is something we'll talk about later, Terry. It's just how that progression happened. But now I'm not doing independent transfers. Now I've actually got a ceiling lift at the house, getting me in and out of bed. It's been a godsend. It's been fantastic. And then, I just learned to, adapt the other ways, and it can be kind of different when you go travel and do those kind of things. You might need some help there because you're out of your element, so to say. But you know what? Getting older is going to impact shoulders. Getting older is going to impact, the ability to transfer level versus transferring, 10 inches off of a couch. It's gonna happen. Maintaining fit, be doing the right things to prevent most what you can. That's what's going to help be your friend. So that's what I'd say on that, Terry.
Thanks a lot, Greg. As far as me, again, I'm paralyzed from the chest down, so I've definitely still got my arms, and I try to maintain as much strength as in them as I can by, of course, the working out that I do or the pushing. When you transfer, of course, you've always got to, I'm in a manual chair. So when you transfer across that wheel, it's always important to make sure you're not going to injure yourself or tear your skin or whatever. I've got a wife that's very creative, and she made me a long time ago like a towel that's folded in half and it's stitched together. So anytime I transfer across in and out of my chair at all, or in and out of the car seat, I drive myself, and of course I'm transferring into a car seat. I always put that pad on top of that wheel, so hopefully I won't touch it. Hopefully I'll be able to slide across or jump on across. But sometimes, of course, you're tired or whatever, and you might not make it. So you certainly can't afford to damage your rear end or anything like that. So you just have to be careful. But it's definitely been affected. I can definitely tell that, as I got older, that's more of a tedious situation to have to deal with, is the transfers. Not only that, but in and out of bed. Obviously, the tighter you get, the more it's definitely going to impact you. So again, I find myself going to bed a lot earlier these days, just because it just gangs up on you and catches up on you. But
Yep.
I think the more you stay active, the better off you are. But again, you've just got to be careful, and you've got to use whatever helps out there. I think as you get older, you're not near as proud of taking help from people as well. So you have to, if you aren't blessed to have a great caregiver with you, then of course, trying to get as much help as available as out there to protect yourself and to be a protector of yourself. So
Right.
that's about what I got.
Hey,
Terry, I'd like to add one other piece about transfers. You made me think about
Yeah.
it. It's when you travel, because my wife and I, we do travel, we fly when we can. And once you're outside of your protected zone, shall I say, of caregivers, you're highly exposed. And so you have to be extremely careful. And what we've learned about flying and airlines is they're going to use their people, if you will, in order for you to do a transfer. And it's difficult. It can be difficult on and off aircraft. So what we found important is to always have an advocate of yours, either my wife or we'll fly with my son. So they now are in control to help control who's lifting and not. Because many times I'll see a couple of guys coming up saying, okay, they're going to lift me, and I'm going to sit there going, no, you're not. You've got to be able to lift me to clear the arms on the aircraft and things of that nature. So it just gets down to is have your advocates, be your own advocates. You know your body, and it's okay to sit there and give those clear instructions to make sure that you're safe. Because once you're outside of your cocoon of your caregivers and your support staff, it can get you're exposed.
Yeah. Man, hey, I think you hit the nail on the head there, buddy, because I'll tell you what, on and off the plane, especially for those of us that may have gained weight over the years too, you've only got, they always seem to send the small people to get right. And 6'3", 210 pounds, you're not going to pick me up, so you have to protect yourself. I would wholeheartedly agree with that. The other thing, if people are struggling doing transfers, and they wind up setting off spasms. I know that can be an issue for folks too. There's ways around that. My buddy has a baclofen pump, and if your spasms are off the chart, take a look into something like that, guys and gals. It's it can really become a huge help for you. It delivers the drug a bit differently. It's much more concentrated to the spine, but at the end of the day, it can take somebody who's got, in the past, not been able to do transfers because of tone and really dial it back. So, it's just knowing what's out there and having conversations like this, I think, keep people in a knowledge base that, they can continue to change. So it's good stuff. I just wanted to say that.
Thanks a lot, Craig. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
We're going to touch on some of the I guess the emotional impact of aging that seems to come with the situation itself, as far as how getting older can affect it, losing loved ones, losing people that maybe helped support you with your situation, and made it easier on you, being lonely. Anybody want to talk about that? What about it, Stephen? Any thoughts on in that?
Wow, you just uncovered all sorts of stuff that made me think. I think one thing about the aging process is my wife and I, we've been married 35 years. And we've got a good system where she can be my caregiver for the most part, outside of, we do have someone come in. But we have to remember we're both aging. And I'm getting a little bit older, so I'm not quite as durable. And she's getting a little bit older, so she's not as durable and her abilities in order to lift me and stuff. So that's a consideration that we have to think about. But the other piece is I'm very fortunate to be going to work since I'm a co-owner of my business. And so my day is very full. Isolation, it's not so much of a factor outside of maybe during the weekends and things of that nature. But what we're beginning to talk about now is the retirement years. In other words, when I'm no longer fully engaged here at the workplace, what's that going to look like? And what is my condition to be like? So already we're beginning to talk about what are we going to do to stay engaged meaningfully for ourselves. What sort of organizations can we be a part of? Because at the end of the day, my little formula of staying connected and avoiding isolation is the rule of you got to get up in the morning, you got to get into your chair in the morning, and you have to get out to get connected. And the rule is such that there's no excuses unless medically you have to stay in bed. But any sort of emotion, you've got to get over it. You get up, get in your chair, and get out and get connected. And again, that's kind of a religion for me in order to get over that emotional hump of isolation or even depression, if you will. Because when I can get out of the house and get connected with other people, all of a sudden the whole world changes from your emotional state, your self-worth, and the like.
Yeah.
Great.
Man,
Thanks so much for sharing that. I guess I'll chime in on that a little bit. To me, it's all about, if you want to have friends, you need to be a friend.
Yeah.
And friendship is not something easy. I mean, you have to exert effort to be somebody's friend and to have them want to be your friend, and to keep you from getting lonely, and to want to do things and have activities with you. You can't just expect friends to call you up. I mean, you've got to be the instigator, and engage them, and try to be able to get out of yourself, get out of your own little world there, and no little pity party because maybe you're not feeling good or on your top of your game or whatever. But the more active you stay, the more active you're going to feel, and the more engaged you're going to feel, and it's going to keep you from getting lonely. Sure, it'd be a lot easier just to turn on the TV set and get immersed in that, but that's not where it's at. I mean, we need to engage with each other, and we need to stay in contact. So, but it means you dialing the phone and staying up with what's going on with the people you've associated with all your life, and not becoming a recluse. It's easy to do, but and I think the older you get, the easier it is to do, just to get engaged in your own little world. So you just need to force yourself to get out of that, and to get more engaged and to do more things. And that's not always easy, but it's certainly something that you should think seriously about. What about it, Milton? Any comments?
Honestly, I'm taking it step by step and day by day because it's just me, myself, and I. So I work with the situation as much as I can. And I'm enjoying this call because there's certain things I'm learning on how to apply and how to process in my own situation.
Yeah.
So I'm getting benefits from the call, and some more things I need to research and get assessed better on how to apply myself and get out more and be more active.
Great. Well, Stephen, you touched on it as far as retirement. I mean, it's eventually going to come to us all. I mean, I retired. COVID retired me. I got laid off a year and a plus ago, and of course, I've just recently gone back to work. So I had a whole year to be retired, so to speak, and I know I got my fill of it. Probably after about 6 or 8 months, I knew I had a lot more in the tank, and I wanted to do a lot more, so I got back involved and got back out there. But I know, Stephen, it's coming, and it'll definitely affect your life. So, and it'll allow you to get lazy if you choose to. So, any further thoughts on that?
Well, and it's not just retirement. When I got injured, again, my role in my company, we're a team building company. So I was the go-to guy to do the team building for corporate groups. I was on the floor, and I'm an action guy. I move, I speak with my hands. The whole driver of the team building was being in and with your group in motion. And then, you're talking. Well, when I got injured, all of a sudden my speech and my ability was highly affected. And being a quad, I couldn't move a lick. So it really transitioned that whole thing. So immediately, that whole question of self-worth. How do I recalibrate my life so that I feel worthy? Because it was such a headshot to go from Mr. Action to Mr. Inaction, and eventually kind of fading out of the picture of being the go-to guy of the facilitation. And I found that extremely hard, and I still do to this day. I was the fix-it guy. Toilet's leaking, I'll fix it. Car needs an oil change, I'll fix it. And now I have to go to the world and have them do all these things, which is my karma. So I think, there's retirement, but there's also that transition in your daily life of being able to pick up and live forward in your new condition. And I have just found that a little bit, I just had to kind of get over myself, if you will, engage others to do all those things and realize what a blessing it was for that. So again, being an advocate, asking for help, being part of the solution is still important. At work, I was able to redesign myself, if you will, in order to create self-worth and to still contribute at a very high level. It may be different, but it was about getting out and getting involved and getting connected in order to be vital not only in my company, but in my family also. So it's like you guys were saying, you have to re-engage, you have to get into the game of life. But that transition can be hard.
Craig, you're in your 50s. I know it's a long way for your retirement, but what are your thoughts?
You know, I think about it when, you know, I was off work recently, Terry, for 5 months, you know, as I had this extensive back surgery and restructuring of my spine and everything. And, you know, I'll tell you what, you know, I saw at 30 years of being in the chair, I went, man, it just seems like it's always something anymore. There's a nuance that pops up. There's something that, you know, I just am like, well, man, I don't remember that, or, you know, but it sitting at home and then having to go through basically rehabbing again and do some of that, it kind of opened me up to, man, how much easier it was, Terry, 20, 30 years ago, right? And that's what I think a lot of people struggle with. And so I started seeing, okay, for me to kind of bounce back and do things, Craig, you can do it. You just got to work your butt off, just like you did years ago. You know, and when it comes to retirement, yeah, 6 months of being home, you can only watch so much TV. You could only do so many things. COVID was smack in the middle of it, so it's even compounded. So I know that can aid to people, you know, feeling them by themselves or whatever. I think it's, you know, I liked how Stephen said it, you know, people that are around you from a support system, man, it's just, you know, how much you count on those folks anymore. The caregivers that I've worked with for, you know, in one case 5 years and another one 3, you know, I mean, how important they are to maintaining my everyday. Kind of like you said too, Terry, it's getting up, man. I mean, every day I do exactly the same thing. I have a schedule. I get up at the same time. I take a shower. I get dressed, you know, and if I didn't have a job to go to, man, I'd sure find ways to stay active. And that would be either with family and friends or, you know, groups here in the DFW area, that kind of stuff. You know, and man, you know, this call's opened me up to, you know, Stephen, thinking about things that, you know, you bring to light that I haven't thought of. And, you know, kind of like Milton said, that's what, you know, organizations like this do. And, you know, I want to be more an advocate for that. And I want to be a person that, you know, when folks have questions about where to go or whatever, that, you know, we answer them. So I don't know, man, you know, retirement, hell, I'm just hoping I can get there, Terry. You know, I mean, I'm working till I'm at least 65, you know, and I'm 51 right now, you know, and, you know, to your point, it may even go longer than that, but my day's pretty structured. I love it. You know, don't let things derail you, guys and girls. That's the thing, you know, don't sit back and just go, no, I can't do that. You can do it. It just may be a little different, you know? So I don't know. That's kind of my 2 cents there, Terry.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think difference what it's all about. I mean, there's so many things out there that we can do. We just have to choose to do them.
Yep.
I mean, and as you age, you know, and you transition into different situations, I mean, there's so much going on in the political arena right now. I mean, there's so many things that we could get involved with, you know, advocating for our paralysis situations, things like that. There's, you know, keeping involved with the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. I mean, they're always letting us know when Congress needs help, to be tapped on the shoulder as to what needs to be taken care of to help us and further the people that are inflicted like us to have, you know, more support and more help and more needs. So, I mean, there's just so many things you can get involved in and you need to get involved in. So
Yep.
And retirement is just a state of mind. I mean, you can allow yourself to retire, but your mind, the more active you keep your mind, the better off you're going to be. I mean, the more you can do, the more you can help. There's so many charities out there that need help. There's so many things that you can do. So it wouldn't necessarily just mean your retirement. It just needs you're taking a step in a different direction to do something else. Because once you finally say, I'm hanging it up and I'm going to slow down, hey, then you're really going to start seeing things break down with your mind and your body. So it's just the more you need to stay active in life and do it. But
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find that keeping your network close, in other words, your advocates, sometimes it's hard to make a good decision. My wife has been invaluable because she tests me, she challenges me, she keeps me in the game. So when we think about things to do, even day to day, or even retirement, it's pretty easy to kind of curl up a little bit and get disconnected. But when you have advocates for you, your circle, they can keep you engaged and keep those questions in front of you and help you get to the answers.
Yeah.
They also can help you get out and get connected, because sometimes you just don't feel like it, but they get you up, they get you out. Because, you know, in the world, no one's going to come to you and know who you are. You've got to go out and you've got to meet and greet. You've got to get known in order for people to notice you and for you to create those opportunities. Because in the end, that's where you need to go, is outside the outside world and get those opportunities. So, you know, your support system, if you don't have one, please get one. Have those people that are in your corner that can be with you every day, because they're the ones that can really help you get connected. So whether it's retirement or otherwise, you can find those opportunities for you to, you know, really get going.
great. That kind of segues us in this next situation as far as, you know, we talked about support system. You just now touched on it, Stephen. Our support system is so vital to us, and we've got to remember that our support system is getting older as well. I know my wife is, she's the same age as I am. So, you know, so many things that years ago she could do to assist me with were so much easier than they are today. And of course, again, she's getting older just like I am, and things, you know, might not work as well as they used to. So, you know, we have to think about broadening that support group that we have. And if we are fortunate enough to have kids, I have a big, boisterous 6'7" son, so I'm lucky to have him. But, you know, is there things that I have that I share with him about maybe my bowel program or something like that? Well, yeah, sure, he knows about them, but, you know, I mean, we've never sat and had the talk about what the things that we do, or, you know, just to make him aware that maybe one day, you know, he might need to get a little more involved in that situation to assist me or something like that. But you know, your caregivers are your lifeblood, and you know, I know my wife says she's just invaluable to me and helped me so much. But what you know, we've got to make sure that we're either broadening that group or reaching out away, because if they were to get hurt, then we need a plan B, and we have to know what that plan B is before somebody gets hurt or starts slowing down. So anybody have any thoughts about that?
You know, I would say this. Since I got hurt and I was in college, you know, I, like maybe a lot of people, you know, had initially, you know, family members helping. I'm a single guy, right? I'm dating, I'm doing my thing. I just, you know, I felt like, hey, you know, without somebody there to help me get up and around in the morning, my day never starts. And for a lot of people on this call, you know, that might be something that, you know, you find yourself up against all the time. You know, it's, hey, I've got a caregiver, they didn't show up, or, you know, my family member is sick, you know, and they're the ones that really know me and know my routines. So I think, you know, Terry, kind of as you were saying, it's not being afraid to expand what that circle looks like. if you have a caregiver, make sure that you've got a backup, because it's inevitable, short notice or not, somebody's calling and they're not going to be able to get there. And that puts all of us in a world of hurt. You know, don't take your caregivers and your family members for granted. That is one thing that I think is very easy for folks to do. Know that that's the hardest job that they don't get paid to do. You know, talking about family, you know, they do it because they love you, and you know, they want to see you, you know, do what your potential is. But you know, just remember, thanks goes a long way, right? I mean, saying how much you appreciate somebody just goes a long way. Um, you know, a hug, or I mean, there's just a ton. So I mean, for me, you know, Shannon does my night routine and she helps me, you know, get into bed, and it takes 5 or 10 minutes. And in my mind, I'm like, that's nothing, 5 or 10 minutes. But guess what, man? It's every day, right? And everybody kind of knows that. And sometimes it's easy to lose sight of, hey, you know what? She doesn't mind doing it. Well, she doesn't mind because she loves me, but you know, it can be a lot on people. So, you know, just I'll never take it for granted, and just always have a backup plan. I would say that's kind of my advice.
Anybody else want to jump into that?
Yeah, definitely take care of your relationships. You know, I'm a big fan of Dale Carnegie and How to Win Friends and Influence People. But you know, there are times when you may not be very happy in your circumstance, but do that 15-second test. You know, don't say anything too harsh, too rash, too quickly. You know, really do honor those that are helping you, respect them, energize them, bring joy to them, and do it sincerely, because they are really your lifeblood.
Yep.
When I got injured, you know, I was a quadriplegic, and if I had no support, and I was just to remain on my bed and no one showed up to feed me, bathe me, or anything, I went online to see how long does someone survive in that situation with no water or food. It'd be 8 days. Every day, I have my wife and others that come and they support me to get me up, feed me, bathe me, clothe me, get me in my chair so I can be on my way. And it's priceless. So they are the ones that allow me to age one day at a time, every day. And I love them sincerely for it.
That's awesome, man.
Anything from you, Melton?
You guys got me thinking. Right now, I'm a good deal independent outside of my nurse's aid, but it has me setting up plans or situations for, in case my situation changes, what I might do. Because there's a lot now. There's a lot that I do independently now, but I guess the more difficulty I start having with that, I'll start planning for situations of several other possibilities in case that happens, in case that occurs, or when that occurs.
There you go, man.
Yeah, I tell you, I talked to a friend of mine before the webinar because he got injured in a motorcycle accident, you know, within months of when I got injured in mine. We used to ride together. So we've stayed really close through this entire 10-year period of time. And to me, he's a rock star because he lives alone. And I was just picking his brain from some of the things, but you know, things that I don't have to think about or talk about, such as the grocery store and things like that, you know, he had to learn to adapt and get involved with himself. Where, you know, I'm fortunate to have a great spouse that manages that situation and manages other things in the house, you know, that allows me to work and do things. You know, I've got the things that I do, and she's definitely got the things that she does. So it's, but again, when those things aren't there, then those things aren't there, and you have to do a second situation. We'll go ahead and talk about now is I guess taking really care of yourself, not just your body, but also your equipment. You know, we've all got chairs, and you know, it's maintaining ourselves and maintaining those chairs as well. I mean, if we lose a wheelchair, if the batteries are bad on the power chair, or you know, if your wheelchair gets worn out or whatever, and they break down, then you're, you know, you're definitely affected. So
Yeah.
what about as far as maintaining yourself better and knowing warning signs about your own body, as well as the equipment that you know, keeps us mobile? Stephen? Stephen, you got a comment on
Oh,
that?
yeah. Well, you know, with the body, fortunately, I can feel certain things and may go AD a little bit. So that's instant. Okay, let's search and destroy. Let's figure out what's going on. So maintaining the body is very important. You know, you have your bathing. I look at it as you have your bedding, your bladder, your bowel, and your bathing, and how those are 4 areas of critical importance. Bedding, so you can sleep well at night. Get your good sleep so you can have a redo the next day. And then bladder and bowel, again, you really have to take care of those, and have the support system to take care of those well, because if they are not going well, you will break down. And then you've got your bathing. And again, clean skin, self-inspection, caregiver inspection. You have to have clean skin to protect your skin. That is your defense against the outside world. So you can't afford to have any breakdown. And if you are suspicious of any breakdown, have someone look at it. Fortunately, knock on wood, I've been very fortunate, but I've seen enough that it scares me that once you get behind on your body maintenance, it could take months and thousands of dollars to get back into the game. So you can't afford to have that breakdown. And if your equipment breaks down, let's say your seat all of a sudden is breaking down, or someone changes your seat on your chair. Let's say they rip it up and they put it back down, but it's 1 inch off center. It's not square. As a quad, I get put where I'm put is where I live for the next 12 hours. And if it's askew and that creates that one pressure point, then I'm in trouble. And if my chair is not working optimally, again, if I get in an accident in my chair because I'm a complete chin drive, if anything goes askew, then I'm at risk. So maintaining the chair every day to make sure it's calibrated right, as far as the drive, as far as the wheels and electric motors, even the level of coasting that it's allowed to do. Because every once in a while I'll go on a lift to get on a bus, and the operator there is saying, okay, can you just go 2 or 3 inches forward? Well, if I hit my button and it's not calibrated right, it'll go 6 to 8 inches. I'm off that lift. So I have to also be very aware of, you know, the calibration on my chair, because just missing it by 4 inches can make the world of difference.
Yeah. One of the things, and I was kind of reading some of the notes that people put in there, Terry. Body maintenance is critical. There's not a quad or a para on here that the thought of a pressure ulcer doesn't scare them to death. And I'll be honest, man, it's good that you get scared, because do what you can to make sure it doesn't ever become a problem. Self-inspection. If those are you guys that feel, if something doesn't feel right, address it. Make sure these new power chairs, they are designed to help you in pressure relieving. And that could be something, from a tilt back every hour, an adjustment of the recline. It will shift you. You will actually get into a different, I call it a change of scenery on your bottom. Because like many of you guys, I'm in my chair from 8 in the morning till I choose to go to bed. It's all day, and let's be as comfortable as we can. When it comes to cushions, y'all, cushion is such a huge thing. There's options out there other than traditional air cushion, a gel cushion. There's a ride cushion that's made for supporting your pelvis. making you sit a different way instead of sitting sacrally. Those are all things that, you know, get knowledge base on. And when it comes to anything that's around my chair or my car, that is a reflection on me, right? In my opinion, you know, it's my chair or my shoes. You know, to Stephen's point, know your shoes. Know when your cushion's out of whack. You know, say something. If your van, you know, isn't maintained and you don't take care of it, and it, you know, isn't kept clean, and all those things, it's more prone to have issues. So, you know, I will tell you that, you know, I'm meticulous about those things, and it sounds like, you know, these, and I know Terry, I know you personally, you know, you're always looking good. The van's always looking good. Chair's always wiped down. And I will tell you that that's how I am. You know, these things are a direct reflection on how how you're seen, you know, so just, you know, don't do it for other people, do it for yourself. You know, I mean, that's really a big thing, you know, so I don't know. There's just some ideas.
Those are key points for sure. I mean, you've got to be your own advocate as far as your equipment, and of course, you know, again, if it looks good, you feel better in it as well. You know, and again, sometimes you can't touch it up or you can't clean it up, but you know, we can certainly ask others or get others to help us with that particular situation. But the maintenance, that's up to us. We know immediately when something's not wrong. I broke a brake this week, so I'm all over trying to get that brake fixed. And
Yeah.
you know, there's just so many things that you have to do. I mean, sure, I didn't see it coming, you know, but you know, I had to react as soon as it happened. I can't wait on that. I mean, because these things that you have to react to immediately. And of course, you know, by trying to keep everything clean and maintain your van, everything, you know, it's going to come back and haunt you if you don't.
Yep. Agreed.
Anybody got, I think we're going to get some questions, I believe now. Kyle, have you got some questions for us from our people that are watching us today?
Yeah, no, we have whole lots of questions, lots of good questions from all the attendees. So we'll get right into it. So the first question that we got was regarding the gastric bypass. How did it impact your bowel regimen, and did it cause any skin issues?
Okay, yeah, good questions. So I will tell you that when I wasn't sure how it was going to hit my bowel routine, like I normally do a 3-day routine, and I had done that for years. At the beginning, you know, gastric bypass, I wasn't sure because I'm limiting my intake now. You know, do I still need to go every 3? What do I need to do? There was some trial and error on that at the beginning. And, you know, really what I did was I went back to a 2-day program just to kind of get my body in check. And then after I felt fine about that and the results weren't very much, I said, I probably can stretch this out another day. So I went back to my every 3rd, and that's worked like a charm. Not saying that, unfortunately, we all know on this phone, you know, stuff happens, so to say, right? So you still have, you know, things like that that can occur, but you know, no issues. As far as skin, skin was a big deal because all of a sudden my body mass was just going away, and you know, my skin on my backside, all of a sudden I had loose skin that I didn't have. Had no issues with breakdown that was any different. Okay, but what I did have now was another area to, as Stephen said, make sure it was always clean. You know, make sure that, you know, caregivers were pulling that back just to make sure it wasn't damp. Dampness can be your enemy too, so be really careful there. You know the difference between what I call a pressure breakdown and a shear breakdown. A shear where it may be taking off just a layer of skin, okay? compared to pressure, which is coming from the inside out, and there's all kinds of treatment methods for these. You just, got to stay on it. But nothing, Kyle, that's been, issue really, right? I mean, it's something you got to learn with, guys, because you lose weight for, gosh, the first, 18 months, and then you kind of plateau. You may lose a little more. So just, I lost in total, I went from 280 pounds down to 185.
Wow.
And I did that over a couple years. All right. So it can work for you. You just have to be of mindset, just like anything, to do and maintain. So that's what I'll say. But happy to, if anybody wants to reach out, shoot, we can get my information. Y'all can call, ask questions, man. I'm an open book.
And Craig, we had another question asking about the recovery length of your surgery.
Yeah. So recovery wasn't bad. I will tell you the prep up until is what's difficult, but that's anybody who's going to undergo this. You're living on liquids. You're not able to eat foods after for, better part of a month. And then you segue into, hey, I can eat soft foods and those kind of things. So it's getting I don't have a stomach anymore prepared. And, that probably took me the better part of 4 or 5 weeks. Now, here's the thing, man, it's not for the faint of heart. So when they tell you, hey man, you probably can't drink alcohol or carbonation or issues like that, they're not just telling you that just to tell you that. It's, it may be the way it is. And I had to make a decision, Kyle, to say, hey man, I'm okay with that, because my life and my weight and, issues on my heart, I saw that as a question somebody had earlier. Those are all things that we gotta stay apprised of. So, now I'm 4 years, I still do what I need to do. And I'm not the history of, the epitome of, oh my God, I eat so great. But, I do the right things. So it's definitely a lifestyle change.
Thank you. We have our next question from an individual who's having problems with their butt and legs, with them getting thin, despite riding a stim bike. And they're looking for some insight because their stomach's getting heavy and they're worried about pressure on the buttocks, and their stomach also interferes with bladder drainage. And he was hoping for some insight on that.
You know what? Atrophy's going to come, man. You can't stop it. You can ride the side fits. You can ride, I think, all the recumbent bikes and do that. But weight bearing, that's not going on anymore. Atrophy, because here's the deal. You're taking things to eliminate tone and spasticity, and spasticity is a firing of your muscles, whether we like it or not. And sometimes it's just not convenient, when it happens. If you take those things away because of baclofen or, pick the other drug, then all of a sudden, you're kind of going to do that. So I can promise you, I used to say, nobody ever went out with me or married me because I had a fine butt. They are there for me. They care about it. I will tell you though, if you're running into that situation, even more importantly, on the butt, look at cushion options, and if you don't take anything away from this, cushion is your best friend. Air can be your best friend when it's treated correctly. Gel can be a good buddy too, but it moves around and it's not underneath you right. I chose the Ride cushion because it is fitted and cut for my frame. It keeps your ischial bones 100% suspended. It's not for everybody. For those that you those of you don't have feeling, you got to be careful. But it's cut in a way that it prevents the inevitable of breaking down. So, check it out, look at it, but I think that's a big thing.
Thank you,
One other issue that might relate there would be the standing frame, as far as, helping you to improve your bone density and things like that. I'm in the standing frame every night for about an hour and a half. And I think it's been something that's helped me to stay strong, help my legs to get that pressure every night. So it's a regiment for me, and I would encourage everybody to try to get a standing frame and get involved in that some part of your day, because that's really going to help your overall bowel program as far as your health as well. It's a marvelous tool, and I highly recommend trying to get into a standing frame from time to time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Terry. The next question we had was for you, Stephen. It was asking about what differences you had before and after the surgery and now in the long term.
Surgery?
Yeah, I believe you mentioned the surgery before.
Actually, fortunately, I've never had surgery due to my injury. The one surgery I did get, which was very interesting, was on my right knee. I had to get it scoped for the third time. I had it scoped twice when I was healthy before the accident. And then I get it scoped afterwards because being an incomplete, I was up at Project Walk. I was doing a lot of exercise. I had some capabilities. But my knee was preventing me from doing something. I mean, I could actually feel a little bit of pain. And when I go into the doctor about the surgery, the guy looks at me and goes, "Mac, what are you doing here? You can't move a stitch. You're not gonna be able to walk. So I'm just gonna steal your money if I operate on your knee. I mean, I'll appreciate it. I'll send my kid to college." I said, Doc, let me show you a video. And I showed him the video and I said, "My lifeblood is bone density and being able to stand. And if you don't fix this knee, then I'm not going to have the ability in order to do the basics of standing, using my standing wheelchair, going to do exercise. So you're going to cut down on my circulation. You're going to make me immobile. My skin's going to break down. So if you fix my knee, you're going to give me the ability to actually wiggle more and do more." He was sold. So he put me down, scoped out my knee, and that changed quite a bit because now I had the ability to, what I say, wiggle a lot, do a lot, stay healthy.
Hey, Kyle, I wonder if that was maybe directed at me with my surgery that I had this past year. Do you know what is it?
I believe it was. There was a question written in the chat, so I'll have to go far ways up. But if you want to talk about that as well, Craig, please.
Oh, hey, I mean, so, guys, for me, there is for those of us that have been in the chair, unfortunately, the long time, listen, none of it's a short time. I'll say that, 30 years being in the chair, there's actually a syndrome called Charcot's that is it's everywhere. But it's a 30-year kind of catch up for quads, and it results in how the body is transitioned. And in my case, everyone will see this. When you don't have weight bearing on the spine, your legs, whatever, those bones become first, osteopenic on a scale. After osteopenia kind of takes over and bone density begins to decrease, especially in, females, males as well. Then you move into what we all know and have heard is osteoporosis. My spine had become so osteoporotic that my curvature was moving forward. So I looked like a bow. So rather, you see some folks that sit perfectly straight up, or maybe they have an S curve. I had a C curve, they called it, and it was like 70 degrees. So no longer could I breathe well. I couldn't do, sitting in a chair all day was borderline impossible. So we had to find the right surgeon to go to who specialized in complex spinal injury. And man, he was a godsend, got me back up, and now I'm straight as an arrow, and feel like I have my life back. But those are things, unfortunately, that can come on with the aging process. So just know there's ways to combat it. Okay, you just gotta do your research, and again, anybody who wants to know more about that, man, happy to share.
Great, thank you. And the next question we had was for everyone, and it's if they had any tethering issues and how you dealt with it.
Cord tethering, I guess.
Yeah.
I haven't. I have had some. Gosh, what do they call it? Like a narrowing of the cord. Okay, and maybe that's similar to some of the folks on the phone. To where the spinal canal gets narrower. Okay, which isn't promoting the firing correctly. So there has been some of that. Cord tethering is more a stretch of the cord. It's not affected me, but I would say if that's something going on, just make sure you're in good communication with a PM&R doctor. Get away from a general practitioner, get away from an internal medicine person. You want to be dealing with a PM&R clinic who's seen this. Make sure that you're getting the right scans from both a CAT scan and MRI perspective. But I don't know that there's a ton that's going to get done about that. But don't quote me on it. I haven't had that issue.
Great, thank you. And we have another question that asked if anyone participated in any wheelchair sports like rugby or basketball.
What about you, Terry? Do you ever do anything?
I never was in any organized sports. Watched it from time to time. I tried water skiing. I was able to do that. Benefit of the associations that are around this area here. I can't remember the name of them right now, but no, just mainly in my own exercise program I got involved in. It seemed like every time I watched rugby and basketball and things like that, they were more on the floor or on the ground than they were in that chair, and that kind of intimidated me. So I tried to stay clear of it.
It's funny. I did play rugby. Gosh, when I was like 22, been hurt a couple years, tried it out, and I quickly realized, Craig, you weren't really an athlete before, and you're not much of an athlete today. But listen, I think one of the things, Terry, you hit on it earlier, man, and so did you, Stephen. Staying active. If it's a way to stay active, get involved. You're around folks that have a similar interest, right? It's a way for you to kind of, get to feel a part of a team, because a lot of people need to, if they're isolated by themselves, being a part of a group, man, is a positive thing. So, there's programs out there, that I'm sure Christopher Reeves can put you in touch with. Gosh, there's even scholarships available, to play basketball at the college level. So, those things are out there. If I had triceps, I'd be playing basketball, but the ball winds up hitting me in the face once I try to release it. So it's really not that fun.
The few things I've done, Rise Adventure is a wonderful organization here in Texas. And so I was playing soccer, wheelchair soccer. And that was great fun. And I moved on, and then I got into water sports where I went water skiing and did some stuff. And again, these were just tremendous opportunities to get out into the sun, to connect with people, to laugh, eat a burger. Really just brought so much. It allowed me to move from my first year of injury and second year into other areas. And now I went to my trainer, and because a friend of mine challenged me to ride a bike again. Of course, a little bit of tongue in cheek, but I said, well, why not? Went to my therapist trainer, and he looked at my legs. He goes, you know what? I'm going to put you on a recumbent trainer and see if we can get those bad boys to push the pedals. Really couldn't do it, but after 3 years, I started to. So now my new sport is recumbent bike, power assist,
Cool.
where I go out maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I went from 0 miles at 0 miles per hour, where I've now maybe have gotten up to 11 miles at 4 miles per hour. It's taken 3 to 4 years, but it's slow, but boy, it's a wonderful feeling to be able to just nudge a needle a little bit at a time. It's that much fun.
And something you were passionate about before.
Right.
So man, you get that back.
Yeah. So now to be able to get others to join, I mean, we've got some biking people, we got Mike King out here with Powered to Move and other organizations where they'll get you into a hand cycle. They'll do anything to get you to move. His whole ethos is move it, do it. And now that you're doing it with a group, it's fun. You're connecting. It's just a wonderful feeling.
Yeah. Hey, I see on there, Kyle, that a lot of people, man, have just echoed in about staying active and doing stuff, right? And there's I think Angela is saying something about scuba. So I tried scuba, and I can tell you that I got hurt in the water. So it was one of the first times I had been reintroduced to water. So, and when they throw on this gear, they kind of get you in and put you face down. And let's just say it was not a comfortable feeling for Craig, right? I was like, no. But kind of like you guys, I've done the water skiing. And man, I was a huge water skier. And damn, if I had a blast. I could not believe. And they have it so organized, y'all, with some of these sports to where they've got a jet ski following you, you fall over, they immediately are turning you over. I mean, yes, it's very controlled, but you know what? If that's what it's got to be, that's what it's got to be. But I promise you, just like these guys, I talked about it for 2 weeks. I went water skiing. Everybody's like, you can't water ski. I was like, yeah, I can. So staying active, that's a theme that I see in a lot of this, Justin, I see what you're saying. Angela, I see what you're saying. I mean, everybody, gosh, staying active.
Well, on the note of staying active, we have another question here that asks if anyone still drives.
Oh man, all of us. Well, I don't know. I can't speak, Stephen, for you, but man, listen, I had 3 questions when I got hurt, or maybe 2. As a 20-year-old, you can imagine maybe what one of them was, right? As a single guy.
Yeah.
So I won't say that one again. But the second one was, am I going to be able to drive? And as a 5'6", yep, I'm driving. I do drive from my chair. I've got I'm a big car freak, so I've got a tricked out 3/4 ton van that, looks like something out of the apocalypse coming at you. But yeah, man, it's a great way for me to feel kind of normal behind a wheel. Because a lot of us, we don't always get that, and it's important. But if don't hesitate to inquire about what's out there. I mean, of course, different injuries require different modifications. And maybe it can't be for everybody, but you can be amazed at some of the stuff they can do, so that's just speaking for me. Terry, I know you still transfer in and out of a driver's seat, don't you, in your car?
Yeah, I do. I was driving really, 3-4 months after I was out of the hospital. We got a van that my wife drove. And then, of course, it was while my van was being prepared. And working with an organization that helped me to purchase that van because I was still working. So there's all sorts of situations out there that you can get involved with that'll help you get back behind the wheel. But, it's all about your independence. I mean, without something to drive, I mean, you're dependent on so many other people. But if you've got that ability to drive, just, yeah, I recommend it highly. And of course, the technology now that they have to help you do that is amazing. These cars on my van almost drives itself. I've got a new Odyssey, and it's amazing all the technology that helps you do that, and the ways to transfer in, transfer out. There's just so many safety fixtures there. It's I don't know what I'd do without being able to drive the van.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Kyle, one of the things is, man, maybe for people on the phone, it's knowing where to get them. It's knowing how to find something affordable, because I can promise you affordable's not something that the industry is concerned with, especially at a new level. You're talking about $80,000 for, you know, a Honda Odyssey and that's before it's even converted to get to drive. Yeah, it's got a drop floor and it's got that kind of stuff, you know, to get in. But if you need a 6-way transfer seat, you need a hand control, you need reduced braking, reduced steering, you need those kind of things. A good place will work with you on what you need to come back and be independent best you can, but also do it safely. Because, man, let me tell you what, that's the big thing, you know, safety. So.
Absolutely. Thank you. Our next question is asking if any of you suffer from neuropathy and if you have any advice on dealing with that.
I definitely am affected by neuropathic pain. It affects me in my rear end. I've had it since my injury 10 years ago, and it's gradually gotten worse. It's worse now than it was earlier. And you know, I hate to say it, but I grin and bear it. I don't let that pain define me. I try to manifest the pain to where I just learn to deal with it. It helps motivates me because I haven't found anything that takes it away. There's just situations that you can do to overcome it. You know, I'm looking at different situations right now because it has gotten more intense. I'm looking at a couple of situations right now with a spine doctor and a pain doctor as far as the stimulator, things like that. So I'm starting to investigate those things because my pain was worsening. But I don't think drugs are the answer because there's just too many side effects, too many things that would affect me negatively. So that's why I've chosen to stay away from those and work on other situations, other avenues. But it's just something that we're blessed with, and we have to learn how to overcome.
Yeah. Hey, Terry, I used to have that issue a long time ago to where it's almost like you feel like your butt's on fire.
Oh, that's exactly.
Right? And I'm like, man, is it the bowel program? Is it how I'm doing it? Is it my hemorrhoids? You know, is that causing some of it? What I did find is it seemed to not be as bad after a bowel day. But what the other thing was, a lot of times I'd have pent up gas. I couldn't pass the gas. Once that gas got out, all of a sudden, you know, some of the pain was alleviated. But you know, I feel for folks, man, that got it, because it does. You know, it can be all consuming, you know, I mean, from, you know, causing headaches and things. I get it, man. But, you know, I'm fortunate right now. That's not one of the things I have to live with. But, you know, like Terry, I think you're saying there's things that you can look into, right? Rhizotomies, the things that have long-term effects, you know, for pain, you know, pumps, that kind of stuff, you know, again, not for everybody, but maybe right for you and your situation. I don't know.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I have it constantly. You know, ever since I was in ICU, or actually more BIR. And it is what it is. You live with it. Again, I mentioned I take a few things to help take the edge off, but it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
I find, and I go back to, it's a circular thing. You have pain, you start thinking about it, it gets worse. My solution is to get engaged, get my mind thinking on something else, get involved. But it can be a showstopper. It can stop you where you are. And you do learn to live with it and move beyond it.
Thank you. And I think we have time for one more question. I think this is a good wrap-up question. And it's how do you balance getting back to the world after your injury and being and dealing with the spinal cord injury?
Man, you know what? Kind of like I said, I'll tell you what, when it happens, you know, you sit there and you know, you go through everything, and I'm sure everybody did this, you know, gosh, man, why me? What happened? I don't understand. You know, I had the emotions that are going through you are just crazy. Very important, you know, again, to have family and support around you throughout the initial, you know, process of you learning how to, you know, get acclimated into a new you. Um, you know, so I will say, you know, again, I was in the middle of my or start of my junior year at school. I knew I still needed to finish school. It was still the same goal. Keep the goals and things that you had going, keep them going. Because you know what? Look, Stephen, like you said, man, you had to find within your company, you had to reinvent who you could be, right? It's not the same thing. You know, hey, I was a radio, TV, film major. I wanted to do voice work. That's kind of where I thought I was going to head. And I could have done all that stuff being in a chair. You know, I did voice work being in a chair, but it just, you know, now you know, I work for Microsoft. It's, you know, a great place to be. It's a technology company. I see the benefits of things that it does, but you know, just know, man, if you want to get married, listen, man, you're gonna find somebody. Things like that happen. You want to have kids, just like I said earlier, those things are doable. Yeah, I had to go through fertility, but how many people do you and I know that have to go through fertility that are just normal bodied? Tons, you know. So I would just say this: don't let things become obstacles when it's unnecessary. You know, just man, just you may have to work a little harder, but I promise, man, the payoff's worth it. That's all I'll say. Turn it over to you guys for
Yeah,
comment.
you know, I was injured, and I was back at work in 3 months, and I was fortunate to have that job, have a job to where they wanted me and they needed me back. So, you know, I was able to transgress right into that job. Plus, I had a kid in college. You know, I had a style of living. I had a life going on that I didn't want to have it disrupted. I wanted to try. We always try to have that same normal. You know, we want to try to get back to normal. We had to figure out what the new normal was. You know, and working through that situation of learning what the new normal was really what it was all about. But I can't say enough for having God in my life as well. I mean, without God in my life, it would have been so much more difficult as well. So just knowing I had my faith to lean on and my family to lean on, it made it so much easier. And you just get back on the horse and go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Great.
guess I would say definitely family and friends. And to boil it down is have a wingman. Guys, don't go it alone. You know, if you can have that one or two people where you can pray together, cry together, talk candidly about what you're going through, they can kind of set you straight. You know, you need the support. If you need a therapist, get one. But have a wingman. Maybe it's your wife, it's your family, or it's somebody else. But because let's face it, you're going to have your ups and downs and all arounds, regardless how long you've been in the chair. And if you have that one special person or people that you can just talk candidly and they can help you move forward, it's really important. Don't go it alone.
Yeah. And hey, TJ Griffin, my hat's off to you, buddy, as a guy who's still one of my best friends after 30 years of us knowing each other, being hurt, basically a month away from each other. And you know, he's, to your point, Stephen, he's like a sounding board for me. You know, man, we bounce stuff all the time. You know, and it is important because, you know, I know the work that he's doing and Christopher Reeves is doing. You know, they didn't have stuff like this 30 years ago when I got hurt. We had to figure stuff out. They barely had ADA, you know, making a campus accessible. So, you know, the fact that this stuff's out there, And the fact that I saw as a high, there were 137 people on this call. That is awesome. Hats off to, Kyle and the team over at, the foundation, Rebecca, Caitlin, everybody. I mean, this is good stuff, man. And, I'm just glad I was asked to be a part of it. So.
And take advantage of the mentor program. That's invaluable there to get you a mentor and help you through your situations, because it's a phenomenal program.
Yep, and be a mentor. As Dale Carnegie says, if you want to get rid of depression in 17 days, go volunteer, give of yourself to somebody else. Bring joy to them, because believe me, it'll bring joy right back to you. So get involved, volunteer, bring joy to someone else. I guarantee it. It'll put a smile on your face.
Well, thank you to Stefan, Craig, Terry, and Milton for this wonderful discussion. This is just absolutely wonderful insight that you provide. Everyone in the audience will receive a link to the recording of this webinar on the Reeve Foundation's YouTube channel within the next few days. I also encourage you all to look on our website and call our information specialist for more information and answers to your questions that we couldn't get to all of them today. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we hope you learned a lot.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Thanks.